are rolling. 5 things I wish that I knew in my first year of colouring. Or even 5 experiences that I wouldn't have thought would actually happen that did. I technically started colouring back in 2015, 2016 for about 6 months, very loosely. I've lost the books, I don't know where they are, and picked up the hobby again in August 2024. And I've kind of just run with it since then and had no idea that things would end up this way. I didn't know things would turn out like this. I didn't know that I'd end up with a YouTube channel or anything like that. So today I'm going to be focusing on the colouring side, not the YouTube side. The YouTube side will probably be for November because I've had my channel for 1 year in November 2025. So let's just focus on the colouring pages today. So if you're new to the adult colouring niche and new to this wonderful hobby, hopefully these 5 things can help you so you are not caught unawares. I suppose if these things happen to you, they might not. They might not. This is just my experience. The gospel according to Sarah, right? Your personality type, your experience are the type of things that you buy in this hobby have a huge impact on what you experience. So this is just mine. So when I rejoined in August 2024, I went to Kmart and picked up 2 Johanna Basford books, those being Secret Garden and Enchanted Forest. And I had a pack of 72 Derwent Studios and off I went. Now, later on in this video, I'm going to show you my first few colouring pages that I did off camera months before I had a channel and show you the pencils that I had as well. So one of the very first things that I experienced, and I kind of wish I knew would happen, is don't overspend on supplies right away. Whether you're a new or seasoned colorist, you would have experienced this in some shape or form. Looking back on my first year, if I just had one set, for example, of Prismacolor pencils and a couple of gel pens, I would have been fine. I would have been bored, but I would have been fine. And I found myself very quickly, while I was watching YouTube videos to learn, I saw all these amazing supplies that people were using, not really knowing that they've had a channel for like 5, 10, however many years, and they have actually collected these supplies over that time period. So they certainly haven't gone and purchased them all in 6 months. Some people may have, I don't know, it depends on if you have the means to do so, but it's absolutely not necessary, is it? There's a couple of reasons why I did this. Number one, I think, was because I felt like I needed to keep up, that I wanted to follow some tutorials and I simply couldn't complete the page if I didn't have these supplies. I thought somehow that I was missing out, so I definitely had the FOMO. Definitely had the FOMO. And for some reason in my mind, I was like, you can't do a good page without having all the things, which is not true. I could have just found tutorials that focused on just using pencils. They're everywhere. And so I have this thing called full set syndrome, FSS, very closely to FFS. And also this thing called GAS, which is gear acquisition syndrome. Now this is very popular in music production world and music studio world. It's where you just fall in love with the idea of just purchasing stuff, and it's the dopamine hit. It's the, I want to buy this, oh, I've got it. It's the acquiring of the thing and the admiring of the new thing in the collection. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoy having a variety of supplies now because I get to be creative and I've got options to choose. And it means that for YouTube that I can actually teach using a whole lot of different mediums, because not everyone has the same pencils. Not everyone has Prismas. Not everyone can afford Prismas. Not everyone has them available to them. They vary in price so much across the globe. So being able to have a few different supplies is actually helpful because I can help more people. I think I've really, as the years progressed, I've really slowed down on my spending. I've really been able to adjust how I buy things. I used to just nip into Officeworks like every couple of days and just pick stuff up, and that was not sustainable. It's not sustainable. So now I've kind of set myself a bit of a limit where I just restock on my pencils once a month, and I do an order through an online art store, which actually has supplies for a lot cheaper, and they're theartshop.com. So I just do that once a month. And rather than go ahead and think that I need to buy full sets as well, I actually will just go buy a handful at a time. So at the minute, I'm trying to learn how to use the Derwent Inktense. So I'm just collecting a couple of pencils every month. I don't feel like I need to go out and buy the 100 set of Inktense pencils right away, unless I find them for an insanely good price. But at the minute, I won't be doing that because you end up just having this whole bunch of amount of stuff, and it's fun to have all of those supplies, but you absolutely don't need it, and you don't need all of that stuff to produce some amazing work. You could just grab the cheapest pencils you can find, and with a few simple techniques, you can actually nail it. So I wish I knew that that was coming. Like, I wish I knew that I would feel like that. I had no idea that I would go down that rabbit hole and just, yeah, feel like that. And I think too, like, one of the important reasons why not to overspend on supplies right away is because you don't know what type of medium you like to use. You don't know if you would prefer a wax-based compared to an oil-based pencil. You don't know if you're going to prefer something light and you can add a whole heap of layers, or if you like a blending approach where the Prismas are really good for that. So you don't know the type of supplies that you would like. You don't know if you're going to love or hate gel pens. You might think that you're going to get into alcohol markers because that's what's trending at the minute, but you might find that you hate it. I think it's very important to not overspend right away, just so you're figuring out your style, because just because someone else is using all this stuff doesn't mean you have to. Okay, so the second thing that I wish I knew, what's like, I kind of knew, but I didn't realize how much this would just like continue to manifest and show up and crop up all the time. And that was, I wish that I just had a stronger, more confident sense that my first couple of pages don't have to be perfect. And that not only applies to when you start coloring across the board, that also applies to when you use a new medium for the first time, when you try different types of pencils, when you try a new coloring book, all of that. It takes time to develop a skill, and you might find that you're more natural at one thing and less natural at another. So for me, I'm more natural with pencils than I am paint. I'm more natural with, yeah, like blending and shading and stuff than I am like with, yeah, pencils and blah, 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 than I am trying to figure it out with paint. I kind of just lose it a little bit. And I think like that applies to like not just your first couple of pages, but even your first themes that you're coloring, or even like you're coloring fur for the first time, you're coloring skin for the first time, you're coloring hair, all of that. And I feel like for me, because I have a channel, it probably puts a little bit of pressure on me, or maybe I just feel it and I don't need to, that because I have a lot of people that ask, oh, can you teach me how to do this, that, and the other? I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna have to try and figure it out really quickly so that I can teach it, because there's an opportunity to help people learn. But I think if you're just new to coloring and you don't have a channel, then you have an advantage because you can take your time. And like, I get how hard it is too, because when we look for color palette inspiration anywhere on social media, you just see this stuff and it's like knockout amazing, right? There is just so many talented people out there, artists who have been doing this for like 30 plus years, people that have been doing it for 3 months. Like, it is amazing. And it's very easy to get caught up in that. And it's also very easy to compare our own work. I know you might relate to this, but do you ever finish a page and think, oh, this is fantastic, and then post it? And then somewhere else, the algorithm just likes to dish you up with another page, the same thing, completed by someone else. And you're like, mine looks horrible compared to that now. The algorithm, especially Instagram, is just great at showing you that someone else is doing it better, right? I wish I knew that that actually never goes away. Like, it doesn't matter how, you know, epic I might get or happy I might get about a page. If I'm not careful, if I don't have boundaries, like scrolling boundaries, then like how proud I am and, you know, like my sense of accomplishment and confidence can just like zap. And I know that you'd feel like that, because I feel like it's not only true for our coloring pages, it's true for a lot of other things. So if you're very, very, very brand new, try and protect yourself a little bit. If you're new to adult coloring, try and protect yourself a little bit from social media. Try and just limit the amount of scrolling that you do. Look for ideas, but try and find ways to get coloring ideas for you that don't actually bring you down or send you messages that you're horrible at things. And skills just take time too. I've had so many people say how scared they are to use certain mediums and they've sat in a drawer for so long, which is such a shame. But like, I totally get it too. Like, I really do. There's so many mediums that I wish I could bring out more, but I don't because I'm a little bit scared. For example, it took me 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 goes in a practice book to really grasp how I felt about Neocolor 2s and how I could use them to suit me. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter how many tutorials you watch, it's putting that crayon to paper, putting the pencil to paper that actually makes a difference. And it takes time. What do they say? Like, it takes 10,000 hours to like get good at something, or I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to be someone that knows quotes and whatever, but it really takes a long time. And especially the average coloring page can take 6 to 12 hours, like one page. I think we just see these instant, like, bam, there's the page. And you're like, oh, well, that just took you 5 minutes. And it's like, no, it didn't. There's some pages that I know have taken people 30 hours. I've certainly done pages that have taken me over 20. So try your best to protect yourself from the beast that is social media and the comparison trap. I think the other thing that I wish I knew was that paper type changes everything. I had no idea that every coloring book would have different paper, like not only the color, but the different thickness, the different like paper tooth. Some paper feels really smooth. Some paper feels really like woolly or cottony. Some paper allows you to apply more layers. Some doesn't. Some paper prefers oil-based pencils. Some paper prefers wax. Some paper can take Neocolor 2. Some paper can't. So just on that, coloring paper is not traditionally designed to take water mediums, so don't feel discouraged if it's not working for you. It takes a little bit of a knack to figure out like how much water you can actually apply. It is possible, but every paper is going to behave differently. I've certainly there's some paper that doesn't like Neocolor 2, so I tend to leave it alone. Some paper just handles it like a boss, so it really depends. And even every coloring book is going to be different. So it doesn't matter if it's the same illustrator. They could have different paper from one year to the next. It depends where you purchase the book from as well. It depends on the edition. So even I'll use Enchanted Forest as an example. This book is like a US edition or something, I think. It's a different edition than the original because it's got white paper and it feels different to the original ivory paper. Same with The Secret Garden as well. You're not going to know what paper suits what medium until you try it. And so it's like, yes, I wish I knew this, and I wish that I knew about it when I was starting, and I wish I knew the different types, but at the same time, it's something that you just have to play around with to figure out what works for you. So for me, my favorite paper is anything in Hannah Carlzon, Christine Karen, love that paper. At the same time, I don't want to avoid coloring books that have paper that I don't like because I really like the illustrations, and I think I want to be able to adapt because I'm going to be a better artist. And also, for example, I know a lot of people struggle with the paper in Millie Marotta's books. It can be quite smooth, and I've had trouble with it too, but there are 150,000%. There are ways to make it work, and her books are amazing. And I think if I just looked at that paper and went, nah, too hard, then there would be this huge gap in my channel that people are going to miss out on stuff. You can miss out on the joy of coloring in these particular type of books and the different expressions and the different illustrators and their creativity too. So don't let it put you off. Don't let the paper put you off. Just find workarounds. There should be enough on YouTube. I try and have Millie stuff on my channel so that people know how to work with the paper. Just keep trying and keep finding what works for you. The other thing that I wish I kind of knew, and it's probably more of a behavioral thing, is that I kind of wish that I, at the start, could go back and encourage myself to try new mediums before I assumed that I just couldn't use them. I think I put off using distress inks for so long because I was just like, I don't have the skills for that. It's like, again, you just don't know until you try, and you don't know what is going to be your next favorite thing. So don't be scared about, trying things. If you like, heck, I know that there's heaps of people that can find watercolor pencils for like $50, like whole sets on Marketplace. And if you want to try a couple of things, try it. Get a practice book. So I have another copy of Enchanted Forest on my shelf, which is a practice book, and that is what I use for brand new mediums. So it means that I don't have a fear of like wrecking a page. And having that helps me to try new things before I just throw in the towel and throw toys out of the cot and all of that. So have the confidence to try new things. There can be a little bit of an unspoken thing. Maybe it's also been spoken, I don't know. There's a bit of a thing that says if you're not a professional artist, then you can't use the professional tools, which I think is redonkulous. So if you're new to coloring and you're really keen to try some polychromos, or you're really keen to try some Prismacolors or some Neocolor 2s, don't think because you're new and because you don't have much experience that you can't try them. You can. Go and buy a few pencils and try them out. You are 100% worthy to try them out. And it's like with any new thing, isn't it? We don't feel worthy to try or use it, and we assume that we're not allowed to and that we can't and that we're not good enough. Like, don't worry about that. Just try everything. You've got nothing to lose, just try everything. Okay, I forget which number we're up to. I think this is number 5, but the thing that I wish I knew in my first year and when I started was that the sheer amount of supplies and books and recommendations and materials, and oh my gosh, there is so much out there. I reckon, yeah, I started again. When I started again, I was just like, oh yeah, there's Johanna Basford. No, no, there's way more than Johanna Basford, way more. And there are way more pencils than just Derwents. In 2016, when I first started, my awareness of what was out there was so limited. I thought there was just Johanna Basford and there were Derwent pencils. No, there are so many things, and it can actually get a little bit overwhelming at first because we think that we've got to have it all. And I think this probably ties into the first point as well. We think that we need all the things at the start all the time, because how are we going to follow tutorials? How are we going to keep up? Because there's just so much out there. I wish I knew how much was out there so that I could actually brace myself a little bit and decide, okay, like what books do I like? What illustrators do I like? What materials do I consider having a go with? I just had no idea. And I've got over 30 books in my collection, and I'll probably make another video on it. But I wish I knew that it would get to that point. Like, just to brace myself, like, for the expectation. And again, just tying into the expectation of there's so many pretty things out there. And just because there's so many pretty books doesn't mean you have to buy them all the time. And maybe this ties into number 5, or maybe this is a loose 6, I don't know. Bonus point is that I wish that I understood at the start that progress isn't linear either. So not every page is going to be 1% better. Like, not every, your progress isn't going to be in a straight line. There are some days where, and especially when I was learning, and even now, 100% even now, where I'll complete a page and I'm just like, girl, nailed it. Like, so proud of myself, look how far I've come, oh my gosh. And then there are other days where I just completely bomb out, and it's literally just like, what is this? That's pencil? I don't know, what are we doing? What's this? You know what I mean? Your brain doesn't work, your hands don't work, and you're like, what even is this? What am I even doing? Happens all the time, happens a lot. Happened when I was filming one of my recent videos, and I managed to edit it in such a way that I wasn't cracking it on the camera at the supplies that I was using, because I just couldn't get them to work. So thank goodness for editing, because I was able to package it in such a way that didn't show my little tantrum. But it happens all the time. And I just want you to know that if you're just starting out, please expect that. And please don't put this huge expectation on yourself to, yes, you will notice improvements year on year on year, but it's not going to be like that with every page either. You'll do some great ones and some horrible ones. The next thing that I do want to show you is I actually want to show you my first few pages when I started coloring. So this was way before YouTube. When I say way, I started my channel in November, which is 3 months after I started coloring. I want to show you those pages. Okay, so here we have my very first 2 colouring books that I purchased back in August last year. So we've got Secret Garden and Enchanted Forest, both by Johanna Basford. And if I remember correctly, these are the 2 books that I had back in 2015, 2016 as well, just different editions. So I wanted to show you, let's have a look through Secret Garden first, because that's when I first started. And I actually started with a double page spread. And so over here, I was playing around with some watercolor pencils from Kmart, and up there as well. And the rest was just me coloring. Now I have used, what did I use? Oh yeah, I used my Derwent Studios. I've got them here. These are the Derwent Studios that I started off with, and I bought these back in 2016 and bought them all open stock. I think there was 72 in the pack, and they're discontinued now. Well, they are in Australia anyway, so I'm going to hang on to these and treat them like a bit of a special relic for me, I suppose, because they don't make them anymore. And I had an assortment of other watercolor pencils and stuff just from, I don't think I've ever used these tricolors from the Faber-Castell, but the watercolors from Kmart. And I pretty much just sit them in these little mugs. I do need to transfer the Derwents over to a pencil case. I remember starting off here with the right-hand side, and this was where I was definitely learning to blend colors. And just looking at some of this at the moment, it's like, oh, I can definitely see. And as I'm looking at this, I can remember certain videos that I was watching, learning to do this. I can remember watching Pamela's Passion for Pencils, and even up here too. Yeah, I remember. And I reckon these pencils have faded a little bit. Yeah, they have. Because I remember when I was colouring it just being like, oh, this is so vibrant. So yeah, I reckon they're faded. And then trying to play around with different colours here as well, and it's not working, so I just went over red. And I remember being really happy with these little purple ones over here. All up here too, just playing with different colours in different, and adding some browns in. So yes, Humble Beginnings was my very first page. And then, so that was August. And then I did the next, I did this one over here. And this was actually half Derwent, half Prismacolor. So pretty sure that Derwent's were this side and the Prismacolor was this side. Just trying to do different, yeah. Yep, because I know that that's Prismacolor, that's Prismacolor. And so I was just playing around with different leaf techniques, adding in some autumnal colours and some greens and reds together. Aww. I actually love looking back on my earlier stuff. And I've since completed more pages in this book. I wouldn't mind actually purchasing like the 10th anniversary of this, just with the ivory paper. This paper's okay, but I have done further pages in this book as well. What else have I done? That's a recent one on the channel. That one I went through a recent video as well. Oh, there's this one too. I think this is my first one that I posted on Instagram. This is the first one I did with Prismacolors, where I was trying to learn how to blend all the colors and things like that. So, and the idea was to make like a kind of moon in the middle. And I think I had just watched a couple of Chris Cheng things, so I was trying to channel that a little bit. Oh, that one's a color along up on the channel if you're interested. So that is Secret Garden. So some of my first colorings in Secret Garden. And I think it wasn't long before, so started coloring in August again. September was the Prismacolor purchase. And then November was the YouTube channel commencement. So there might be a bit of overlap. I think this was my first, this page here was like my first like half color along. I think I'd colored some of the elements and then I was like, you know what, we're gonna make this a color along. So I did. So you can watch that if you like. It's like one of my first ones. And then, oh yeah, and that was my first page trying the fixative as well. So I just sprayed it too heavy and I just bled right through. Hence why I'm thinking of getting another book, because I wouldn't mind coloring that whole page. There's another one in here too. This one as well. I can't remember if I did a video on this or not, but this was when I was playing around with lots of different leaf ideas as well. And I was trying to do a bokeh effect and it didn't work. So I ended up just doing some wicked themed colored clouds. So those are my first couple of pages and I can already kind of tell. I can see like my style coming through. Even on those earlier pages, there was like hints of, you know, where I would be taking things. So I might be interested in getting like a 10th anniversary edition of that as well when it comes out, just so it's not white paper. I am interested in the ivory. So if you're brand new to coloring, let me know which one of these points you resonate with the most. Also, let me know what you find, what your challenges are at the moment with adult coloring too. Pop them in the comments below. Maybe I can make a video to help you. Maybe we can all just have a chat about it. It's really good to talk about these things. It's really good to share how like vulnerable we feel and not just like pack it all in like sardines and just expect it just to disappear, because it won't. So cheers to 12 months of coloring, and here's to many, many more. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.